Halló agus fáilte go trí seascad den program ag BBC Alba a bhí sa taispeanach na scíalachan sóiríte an an Salesforce na ban in Alba. Is mis Iona Ballantyne agus sa mí toilite ra go bhfuil a bhan-Oilimpigeach agus an teann lùth-chleasach Lee McConnell a ráscóirim san stiúdio. Program na héiche nach, cluinntinn ar na thighinn an lùth-chleasach go bliadhna, héad sin gan na Stàitean gus cluinntinn bhfuil ágatha meascachach an cuid foghlaim le ball-coise, agus gheibh sin facal ruitheadair tàr-dhùthaich Hannah Ryding si gamas ar nach go barachgur son skip of bhreatain and bliadhna. Lee, welcome back to 360.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Can you tell us, it has been a while since we've last seen you. What's been exciting you in the world of athletics this year?
Yes, we just had indoor championships. Big one was the European Championships. Laura Muir winning a gold medal, Neil Gurley picking up a medal as well. So, and that's his first global major championship, first medal, so that was a really good thing for him. So it's been good games.
It's brilliant, and actually seeing these Scottish athletes do so well on the world stage, do you feel like Scottish athletics is in a good place going ahead?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, every major championship we have now, there's a Scottish athlete on the podium, which is absolutely fantastic. And obviously we've had Eilish McColgan has had a good start to the season as well.
She has been incredible, and she's actually smashed, I won't say so many records, it's been 2 so far. We know that she's going to do more. We will talk about her because she is injured at the moment and she couldn't take part in the London Marathon. But actually this year so far, she smashed her own British record to win the Berlin half marathon, and then that was in 1 hour 5 minutes and 43 seconds, which is incredible, and also set a new British 10,000 metre record in California, which beat Paula Radcliffe's time, which was set in 2002. Despite her injury, she is flying.
Yeah, she's obviously had a really good winter and had a really good run of events leading up, obviously, to what she hoped would have been her first marathon this year. So she's obviously in great form. Unfortunately, picking up a niggle meant she wasn't able to compete in the London Marathon, but she's obviously she's obviously trained well.
Mm-hmm. How disappointing is that when you have your sights focused on a specific competition or a marathon, for example, for Eilish, and then it doesn't quite go to plan?
Yeah, it's really tough, and I mean, especially so when the marathon is like having a major championship, really, because you can only really do maybe 2 a year. The athletes don't tend to do many more, so that's your sort of pinnacle, like the World Championships or European Championships. So you've trained all year really for that one event, so to then miss it, especially when you know you've been in good form, and you know the 2 races, her races, her preparation getting into it showed she was in good form, so she would have been really looking forward to it. So she will be really disappointed not to have made it, but she'll have made the right decision not to run, because it could cause the knee injury to end up worse.
Yeah.
And that could be a bigger setback. So hopefully with not running on it, she can get recovered well and move on to the next phase. But yeah, the marathon's tough. You've got so much work put into it, like months and months, and then it's just to not be able to compete, absolutely gutting.
And she's such a big name too, and so many people were so excited to see her take part. So even in that respect, it's disappointing not to see her. But like you say, it's so important that she gets back to fitness. It was quite interesting what she put on her Instagram account. She's been actually documenting her sort of rehab and recovery. But it was really interesting. So she had this same tear in her hamstring in 2017, which she said also whilst racing during my period, which I doubt is a coincidence, but perhaps bad luck. We've spoken about that a lot on this programme, and it's kind of all over the news in the sporting world too, in terms of women's health and sport. How much have you seen that change over the years, especially when you were competing?
Yeah, a lot of females are now speaking out about their the menstrual cycle and how it does affect performances at certain times of the month, and the challenges that they face because of that. We've obviously seen at the Europeans outdoors last year, Dean Asher-Smith was cramping up, and she says that was to do with her cycle. So there's a lot more people happier to speak out about it. It's less of a taboo subject than it was before, but also I think more research has been forced into it. When I was an athlete, there really wasn't anything there It wasn't really discussed that much. You just sort of took care of everything yourself. But now female athletes are opening up about it more and telling people how it does affect them. And sort of females on a daily basis are now thinking about it more as well, and how it affects their training. So it's really interesting. This shift, and it's only been in the last 2 or 3 years, that we've seen that happening.
So when you were training and competing at that elite level, would people, if women had a niggle or an injury, would that just kind of, they wouldn't really speak about that?
Yeah, I never really thought about it, and it's when you see them speaking up now, you think, oh, I've neglected that, and it wasn't something that crossed my mind because no one spoke about it. But I did notice, races didn't go as well at certain times, but because I didn't think about it, I never tied it into that. But I think if we looked back, we probably could have seen a pattern. So it does really affect your training, and it does really affect, I think, more so your actual performance at competitions for female athletes. Yeah.
So interesting, and actually hopefully, like you say, we do see even more research and we can really get to the bottom of it and look after our female athletes. Another person who we do need to mention is Eve Muirhead, a huge name in curling and in Scottish sport, and she actually trained for the marathon, finished it in 3 hours, 25 minutes and 13 seconds, which is a fantastic time.
It's a really good time. Yeah, I'm really impressed. The training for a marathon isn't easy, no matter what level you're at, it's, and why you're running. So that was a fantastic run by Eve. I think she was doing it for the Doddy charity. So I'm sure she's raised some good money there and raised good awareness as well, which is fantastic. But no, really impressed with Eve's time. It was really good. Amazing, well done to her,
isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic.
Marathon didn't ever cross your mind?
No. I don't. No, I'm a definite sprinter and always have been as a child. I never really took to any endurance races. I thought when I retired I might start doing longer runs and stuff like that, but quickly decided no, actually I'm better just doing shorter interval work. It definitely suits me better.
I'm with you on that one, Lee. Well, sé noch go ag farpis tàr-dhùthaich na cruinne an in Australia agus a cosnach a chéad léine eichgeir son skip a bhretain, brún sin rís in lùth-chleasach og Hannah Ryding mun chlí eichgeise huca seo an us spores agus mar a hair son aithris a dhéanamh is sé a húne an an Oz.
Tá eachtarí go maith fata ag Alba an na nimig farpis rui, agus sí Hannah Ryding an áhrúnach a ha briseach troia ag club gipnach mar hua.
So when I was younger, I mainly did swimming. I really enjoyed that, but not to a huge extent. And I also did tennis lessons, but I didn't actually start running until I was 11. I started running with my dad when I was in primary 6, and I realised I really enjoyed it. So I joined my primary school running club, and they encouraged me to join my local running team, which is gheibh North. And I took part in multi-sports, which is long jump and shot put, which I was not very good at. So, but I really enjoyed the longer distances, so I joined the junior endurance team in gheibh North. It was just, it de-stresses me, and I really enjoyed challenging myself and feeling like I've accomplished something. And I just love being part of the team and just the social aspect of training people with similar interests, but also just makes me feel better physically and mentally. I love being part of the team. It's a great atmosphere and everyone's so friendly and the coaches are so supportive, and yeah, I just love it.
Ha Hannah tréinig for stúr seún bhan-Oilimpigeach Lee McConnell, a ha tàr-dhùthaich go hort gan ácanach.
Well, Hannah's really good on both the track and the cross country, so it's great to have that kind of potential in your group and have someone to work with that you can see that can maybe go on and do well in their seniors as well in their athletics. So it's really good to have someone to work with like Hannah as well, who's so committed to her sport.
She's an amazing support. She regularly gives me advice, like face to face or by email. And she gives me advice on like tactics and the mental aspects and just with my training and racing in general. She tells me of her experiences and how she coped with certain situations herself, and I can relate to her because she competed at my age as well. And obviously she ran in the world cross country as well, and I think in Madrid and Rome as well. And she's Olympian, so she's got great experience on the track.
It's so long ago, though, they don't know any of the athletes or any of the people I was competing against. But yeah, I tried to use some of my own experiences where I feel it can be beneficial for them. Their lives are quite different now compared to the 80s, but I think there's a lot of things that are the same in terms of how you might approach a race or competitions or training and how to fit in things around your schoolwork, etc. So try and pass on bits and bobs when I can.
Nach Hannah son lùth-chleasach bebreiting ag farpas tàr-dhùthaich na crunne an in Australia, for an die eulus preasantair an t-seachdain-sa dèanamh.
It was so surreal and just an amazing experience, and I'll never forget it. And it was an honour to be part of the GB team, and just being surrounded by so many incredible athletes around the world. Yeah, it was mixed emotions. I was really excited, but I was also quite nervous, but I knew I had to do it because it's a brilliant opportunity. It was my debut. I've never represented them before, and it was a goal I really wanted to try and achieve. Yeah, it was really different. It was 36 degrees heat when I was running, so yeah, it was completely different to Scotland, but it was also a very hilly course, and there was actually some people collapsing due to heat exhaustion. So my breathing did feel quite different, and it did feel quite faint, but I was just really pleased to finish the race and in the position I did. And just, we also used cooling methods and different things before it, which was really different. So I think I gained a lot more independence, and just it boosted my confidence, and I realised that each athlete has their own individual way of training and preparing for a race. Yeah, pleased. I think I was second in the GB team, so I was for under 20 girls. So I was really pleased, and just getting through the race, and yeah, just being there in the first place.
That was a massive moment for Hannah because it was her first GB vest, and also she hadn't done as well earlier on in the season where there was another opportunity to get a GB vest. So to come back from that disappointment and be able to get a GB vest and compete at the highest level was really, really important for a learning experience for how she might cope as an athlete, because you know a lot of it is about dealing with disappointment and moving on from that and being resilient. And she competed really well in Australia as well. It was a big learning experience for her to go out there and be on her own and compete in an entirely different environment. It was 34 degrees, and you know here we are in our summer and it's like 10 degrees here, so she coped really well with that, so I think she can build on that going forward.
Ha clubíchan mar guthnach ma hua son slí go dríach sarvach ala hocal de lùth-chleasach colach the Hannah. Agus a Hannah mar ha eit amas in a chud roichpe son a bhí a farpas ag a níd as arste.
The club structure in Scotland, I think, has got a real big impact on why we're doing so well with our senior athletes, because there is that structure to try and get young athletes through a pathway, and that's what we are certainly doing at Giffnock. We've got a lot of really good coaches and a big group of young athletes who are all working together to try and do the best that they can to move up to the seniors.
Yeah, I would quite like to improve my times for 1500 and 3000, so I'm potentially selected for the under 20 European champs and maybe the cross country European championships, but that's in the winter, so it's a wee while away. I would love to continue with my running and just keep improving, but also just be able to represent GB again and Team Scotland, and also just continue representing my club, Giffnock North.
I think she can achieve as much as she wants to. She's making good, steady progress, and I think that's the main thing as well. You get a lot of youngsters who are very good 13, 14, 15, and Hannah was, but she's managed to maintain that all the way through now that she's becoming a young senior or in under 20. So if she can continue to make that progress, then yeah, she's got a good chance to succeed as a senior.
Lee, what a great young athlete just at the start of her career as well.
I know, it's a wonderful time. When she said when she first started athletics, all the different events she used to do, I used to do the shot put as well, and I wasn't very good at that either. So yeah, that brought memories back from me starting off. But no, do you know, it was lovely seeing that. She sounds very confident. She sounds like she's got a good head on her shoulders, and she's also got a good coach in there with Lynn coming in and taking over her squad. And she had a nice big squad. That I really enjoy seeing how many of them were actually taking part in the training there. You know, there's a big squad there, and that's good to see.
Yeah. You can tell we're in spring, but it's still the depth of winter in Scotland with everyone with their gloves on.
It's cold. It's still cold. Yeah, that would have been a big change for her going out to Australia and coping with those temperatures. She obviously dealt with it very well, which was fantastic.
Tell us a bit more about that, because how do you deal with that change when you do go abroad and go elsewhere and compete in a very different climate to what you're used to?
For me, it was a lot easier than what it would be for Hannah, because it's a sprinter. So for me, it's a short distance. For the longer distances, then it's a much bigger impact on them. So that would have been challenging. But like she said, you know, she's out there with UK Athletics, and they have different systems in place to help them cope with the heat. You know, so she will have been looked after. They would have been given her a lot of advice. So if you're going abroad, it's a good team to go abroad with, because they've got a lot of backing there that helps them, and they've had so many athletes go abroad and deal with it. They know how to help their young athletes look after themselves when they're in that type of environment.
Well, quite daunting too for Hannah when you are young and you're out there in a different country and you're competing in the heat in this race with so many people, and then, like she said, some aren't coping with the heat and are passing out. Yeah,
I know. It's a long way to go for your first British vest. You know, especially at that age. You know, going all the way to Australia as part of the Great Britain team is something really special. I'm sure something she'll always remember. But no, she obviously dealt with the heat very well out there, and had a good performance while she was there. But yeah, it is challenging, and it's challenging being in that environment. You know, like she said, there's a lot of, you know, there have been a lot of big names out there that she would have been watching, and that can make you nervous. But she obviously dealt with it really well, and dealt with the whole environment and what going to that type of event means.
Yeah, and you can learn so much and learn from different athletes and really grow as your own athlete, especially at that age, because you'll see so many different types of training and people, and put yourself in a completely different situation from the comforts of your own team.
Yeah, it looks like they've got a good squad there, and like we said, you know, Lynn McDougall is a really good athlete, you know, when she was running, and she'll have given her a lot of help and advice, because she'll have been through most of it. So she'll just be able to tell her what she did and how she felt in certain situations, and that experience and that knowledge is really valuable to a young athlete growing up, to hear how other people and what circumstances they've gone through, what challenges they've faced and how they've dealt with those challenges. And you can learn from them, because Lynn will have made mistakes, like, you know, through my career, lots of mistakes there, but you learn from them. So listening to the mistakes she's made and what not to do is a really important thing, because it helps. It means, you know, you're less likely to make the same mistakes as someone else has done in the past. So it's great that she's got such a good coach and such a good mentor, with someone with so much knowledge and experience themselves to guide her through her career is great.
It's brilliant for Giffnock too to have Lynn on board. I mean, you know her from the circuit for. Anyway, what do you know of Lynn, and what does she bring to Giffnock?
Yeah, I remember Lynn being around when I was training, and she was always, you know, bubbly, really nice personality, very approachable if you wanted to talk to her. So it's good for her to have been brought in by Giffnock North and to use her knowledge and her experience and have her coaching. She'll be a real asset to that club. Giffnock North's a great club. You know, they've been around for many years. They've produced some great athletes. You know, their main one at the moment, mentioned him earlier, was Neil Gourley, who just won a medal at the European Indoors there. So they are producing some really good athletes, and I know, speaking to them just last week, they've got quite a couple of young boys going to the States. Basically what Neil did, going out to the States now on a scholarship, you know, and trying to further their athletics career. So they offer young athletes a really good, like Lynn says, pathway up to those senior ranks, which is exactly what every young person needs.
Yeah, exactly, and especially for someone like Hannah, who's getting there, who's on her way there, and even for her being in Scotland, running in the 1500 metres, she's got so many brilliant Scottish athletes to look up to. Someone that you mentioned earlier, even Laura Muir.
Yeah, Laura Moore, Gemma Rike, you know, two fantastic 800, 1500 metre runners who are, you know, who are doing fantastic in the world, you know, on a global stage. Laura has won multiple medals now, so there's people there, and she'll see them, and she knows they both, you know, they've trained so far. Their careers have been in Scotland, you know, they've trained here, and she'll have seen them success and realise, well, they've done it here, and she'll be able to relate to them a little bit more. Sometimes when someone's from a different country, you know, a completely different environment to you, you kind of see them as a little bit superhuman. You know, but when you see someone that's doing it in the same environment as you, you can relate to that more, and it gives you confidence seeing their performances, knowing that, well, I'm doing what they're doing. So, you know, there's no reason why I can't achieve what they're achieving, you know, in the future. So, yeah, I think Laura has obviously inspired numerous young athletes out there at the moment that we'll see coming through, I'm sure, in the next few years.
Well, that's the thing. Laura will be someone who other athletes look at as superhuman, because she's just dominating the world stage. So, like you say, for someone like Hannah, it's brilliant to have her to look up to.
Definitely, yeah. The thing about Laura as well, you know, we look at superhuman, but you just see, I think Laura just shows a fantastic work ethic. And people see how hard she works, and they know that, well, she's achieving that because she's just working so hard. You know, she's obviously very talented, but she works hard, and that's what's gotten her where she is. And she's a confident female, Laura, but isn't scared to say what she wants and what she wants to achieve. You know, which is quite refreshing.
It is a fantastic role model, and hopefully we can see Hannah up there on the world stage in the coming years. Thanks. Well, in Uri, Ryan Lily Graham suas a hinchain gnoir son ball-coise chluicheadair in America. Fach yn gorage, hwyr sy'n facal Lily gys tŵig ein amach mw behe an in Tennessee agus na skillin a higher iwnsachug agus farna parke.
Get de vai yma ook door de hoosje hier ball-coise a chluich. Gaf Lily Grahamach een lan chorum, schaviga chui gepraag.
So I was about 4 or 5 years old. I think this local football team came round my primary school, and were handing out leaflets, and you know, I took the leaflet home to my mum, and was just like, you know, I'd like to give it a go. And so I went along. At the time, there was two girls, me and Emma Watson actually, who, you know, has went on to have a very successful career. So yeah, we went along to our local team called Againn, and ever since I've just fallen in love with it, really. I think playing with the boys has helped a lot with how I play now, especially with the physicality side of it, and, you know, play against people that are much like stronger and fitter and faster than you. Definitely helps. So yeah, I think it was a great start to my career playing there.
Va Lily Trashake Cabernian mis de Gluashike Spartans son a Yemechke a lùth-chleasach. At the vai shen, hori Jovlasat Cuidish a ball-coise and an SWPL Collach.
Yeah, so I was at Hibs before I went to Spartans. I went to Spartans with just with like the idea of getting and playing more football and enjoying my football again. I think that it brought everything that I wanted. My time at Spartans was great. I had experiences of training with the first team, as well as making my debut in the SWPL 1 with them, which every minute I enjoyed and loved at Spartans. I think it's a great club, you know, and it's always like a family for me. Will always be there for me, and whenever I need, like when I went back at Christmas time, I trained with the team, and, you know, it was just great to be back with them and see them all again. And yeah, I loved every minute at Spartans, and it was a great opportunity to have.
Yn Nuri chwyd Lily rempe heen a golige medica son da over. Foghlaim agus ball-coise. Ruth yn roi miorachach son pala.
Yeah, so right now I'm in Tennessee, in a little city called Martin. I'm playing currently at University of Tennessee at Martin, Division 1, and yeah, it sort of came about with like I've always had the ambition of going over to the US ever since I started. You know, it's always what I've dreamed of doing, because of obviously you grow up as a female footballer in the US, everything's always bigger, better, more professional. And like I said, I've always had the dream of going to America since I was younger. Me and my dad have always talked about it. And no, as we've grown up, I've seen other players that I've known also reach out and go to America. And so I've been able to talk to them and see how their like time in America was and if it was really what I was wanting. And you know, you can talk to as many players as you want and ask about how their experiences are, but at the end of the day, you know, I just sort of have to take that leap of faith. You know, obviously there comes a big culture difference. First off, like just with the way people live and how different it is culturally. But then when it comes to football, I think that it's definitely more of a transitional game here. It's very much go, go, go. And I think being able to adapt to the way that they play is definitely been hard, but I think it's been a big like learning curve for me, especially as a player. And I think that it's making me better as a player, you know, being able to learn how to adapt to different scenarios and how different teams play, you know, is just making me better every day. So yeah. When I first went over, obviously it was in July, so especially in Tennessee it was roasting hot. Which was a bit of a jump and a change compared to Scotland. I think that the standard was, you know, it was pretty matched even, but I think the game that they play in America is so much different to how, you know, the game is played back at home. So I think that was probably the biggest change for me, and the biggest like thing that I had to adapt to was probably the way that they play. And so that was probably like the biggest challenge for myself as a player coming over. The uni that I'm at right now, they send out like your your summer packets, and so like, you know, they prepare you as a player to come over and prepare you for pre-season, and then obviously when you're over here, you know, they'll help you any way they need, to really make sure you're adapting right and help you out how you should be like progressing and everything.
Ha Lillian Dóchas can déad còmhla an the Tennessee, agus go nniusaí na ha a ghiora gus a bhí seirbhachal an the ball-coise.
So I'm in my first year, so I've been out here since last year, July, end of July. And obviously I went home for Christmas and then I come back, and then I will be here for 4 years, in America for 4 years, completing my degree and then also playing football on the side. After my 4 years, I've always wanted to make it professionally, so I think anywhere that I could make it professionally, I would always take the opportunity. There is a draft like system, the NWSL draft. But even if I wasn't to play in America, I would always look to even travel overseas again to find somewhere else to play professionally. Like as long as I'm playing football, I'd be happy.
Chluicheadair iad fa'úis 7 bliadhna de Alba. Sy gamas gomór a bhí measc na scipian internationalta a dhíist.
I would love to, you know, always playing for your country is like everything you want to do as a player. It's always your top ambition and representing your country. And so I'd love to, you know, come back and maybe make it to the A squad after my 4 years, and that's always going to be the end goal for me. So yeah, I'd love to be able to strive and, you know, make that jump eventually whenever the time is right.
Ha Lily beyond Dóchas can seirbhíoch an in America. Hai cuideach sons commissionachi doon je eile bhí lenting na príomh-Amazon a hachgan an bear.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage, you know, players to make the move to America. I think it's a big change, but I think it's a change that, you know, is only going to make yourself better as a person and also as a player. I think the advice I would give to people would just be work hard for what you want. And I think that, you know, if you've got an ambition or a dream, you know, work hard to get it, and you're able to get it. Like, you can see that other players that have done it as well. So, you know, don't think your dreams are too big for you. You know, if you work hard enough, you'll always succeed and be able to accomplish your dreams just like I have.
Lee, another young woman with a huge dream, and at such a young age, even at 17, to go out to America and do it, it's brilliant to see.
Yeah, when I was watching that, I was just thinking the maturity is unbelievable. At 17, I was not that mature, and I don't think I wouldn't have coped with doing something like that. That's huge. It takes, you know, someone really strong to up and go so far. you know, away from their home to go into such a different environment and one that's throwing up different challenges. You know, it takes a really strong person, a really mature person to be able to do that. So it's fantastic to see that video there.
Totally, and she really knows what she wants and what she wants to achieve and her goals, and even just making that first step, which is probably one of the biggest steps, to go out there and do it. You have no doubt that someone like Lily can go on to these things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a huge change to her life to go into a completely different environment. And like she was saying, the way they play the game in America is so different to what she was used to. So she's learning to adapt to that new environment, and she's doing it in a completely different environment, in a completely different country that's miles away from what she's used to. And it's fantastic, but that experience, like she said, will be so valuable. You know, she's been in the Scottish system. She knows how the game's played here. She's now gone to a different country and she's learned how the game's played there. She'll learn how to adapt her game to that. And then when she comes back, or no matter where she goes, she's got these two different games that she's learned how to play at such a high level. I'm sure she'll find it, you know, that experience can go into any other, you know, league that she chooses to go to, depending on where she signs for once she leaves, because I'm sure she'll sign for somewhere.
I know, exactly.
But yeah, no, fantastic to hear and to see her doing so well.
Yeah, and just like Hannah, another young woman with so much ahead of her.
Yeah, definitely. You know, 17 years old, she's got so much time in front of her, and she sounds like she's got a really good head on her shoulders, doesn't she? She knows, she's clear what she wants. You know, she's got her goals. She's got it all planned out for the next few years, which is good to see. And obviously out there in America, you know, the big thing that Americans do, you know, that scholarship program is incredible. It's very competitive. You know, so to get a place, you know, you're good if you're on a team getting a place for that. But the universities out there, they put a lot of money into their sport, a lot more than we do back here. So you know she's going to be getting good coaching. You know the facilities are going to be at a really good level. So it's a great opportunity that she's grabbed.
Totally, and hopefully it's someone that we see in the senior Scotland squad in years to come. What a fantastic opportunity, and so good to see her just thriving out there. If we go back to athletics and the rest of the season coming up, we do have the Diamond League. Can you just tell us the significance of that, especially for UK athletics? Yeah,
the Diamond League is your top tier athletics meet outside the World Championships, European, Commonwealth and Olympics. So they're the big meets where you get your big head-to-heads, the big names come out, and it's a bit of a show. But they're the meets everyone wants to get into, because they're the ones where you're going to get the best competition, and everyone wants a good competition in order to see where are they at. You know, they'll be looking to see, they'll be racing the same people that are going to race in the major championships, so they'll be learning their strengths, their weaknesses while they're racing them. So the Diamond Leagues are, you know, big events on athletes' calendars. So, but there's only so many lanes. That's the thing about the Diamond League, you know. There's only so many people who can get into them, so it's really competitive to actually get into Diamond League as well. So yeah, that starts, I think the first one's Doha, the 5th of May. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see who's lining up, who's got a lane this early in the season, and it'll be interesting to see who's had a good winter.
Totally. Well, tell us briefly, who should we keep an eye out for?
I think we've already brought the names up before, you know, Laura Muir, Gemma Reekie, Neil Gourley. Obviously we've got Jake Whiteman, who won the World Championships 1500 metres last year. That's a shame for him, because normally the World Championships every 2 years, so you could be World Champion for 2 years. So he's only got it for a year, so he needs to win again in order to keep that title. He doesn't get it. And then Josh Kerr as well, you know, Olympic medalist. And the three, they're on the same event, so it's an extremely competitive event in Scotland.
It just shows that Scottish talent here. But Lee, it was wonderful to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, sinna son in noch in a thiachdain beard ofgar ball-coise an bhan in Alba Lee callroom in stiùidio. Jen Keen seach Welsh Valentin BBC Alba ekels gun calshif program symbí. Agus Cynighiv gyfel dagem ac von SWPL jadonic Stàitean le partic this le Glasgow City agus her Rangers y Hearts bio ar BBC Alba. Cheery and dras.